Sunday, February 24. The Beast from the Sea. Question. Read Revelation chapter 13, verses 1 to 4 and 8, and Revelation 17, verse 8. What are the characteristics of this beast, and what are the phases of its existence? Revelation 13, beginning at verse 1. Then I stood on the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rising up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his horns 10 crowns, and on his heads a blasphemous name. Now the beast which I saw was like a leopard, his feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth like a mouth of a lion. The dragon gave him his power, his throne, and authority. And I saw one of his heads as if it had been mortally wounded, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world marvelled and followed the beast. So they worshipped the dragon, who gave authority to the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And verse 8, All who dwell on the earth will worship him, whose names have not been written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. Revelation 17 and verse 8 reads, The beast that you saw was, and is not, and will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go to perdition. And those who dwell on the earth will marvel, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they see the beast that was, and is not, and yet is. John watches as a monstrous beast rises out of the sea. While a beast represents a political power, the description of the sea beast points to a political power that has religion as a dominant characteristic. The sea symbolizes the largely populated area of Europe out of which the sea beast rises to power after the downfall of the Roman Empire, as we read in Revelation 17, verse 15. Then he said to me, The waters which you saw, where the harlot sits, are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. John describes the beast as it emerges from the water. The beast has 7 heads and 10 horns, the same as the dragon in Revelation 12, verse 3 and 4. Let's just have a look at Revelation 12, verses 3 and 4. And another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great fiery red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 diadems on his heads. His tail drew 1/3 of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was ready to give birth, to devour her child as soon as it was born, showing its close connection with the pagan Rome. Upon the heads of the beast is a blasphemous name, and upon the horns are royal crowns. The heads of the beast are the kingdoms that Satan has used to persecute God's people throughout history. Revelation 17, verses 9 to 11. Here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. There are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen, 1 is, and the other has not yet come. And when he comes, he must continue a short time. The beast that was, and is not, is himself also the 8th, and is of the 7, and is going to perdition. The blasphemous name points to the divine title the beast claims. The 10 horns point to Daniel 7:24, symbolizing the nations that sprang out of the Roman Empire after its demise. Revelation 7:24. The 10 horns are 10 kings who shall arise from this kingdom, and another shall rise after them. He shall be different from the first ones, and shall subdue 3 kings. These characteristics of the sea beast all point to the papacy that grew out of the pagan Roman Empire. The beast from the sea resembles a leopard with feet of a bear and the mouth of a lion. As such, the beast combines the characteristics of the 4 beasts, symbols of world empires in Daniel 7, 2-4, Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, and Rome. However, John lists them in reverse order, which from his first century perspective shows that the sea beast is related to the 4th beast of Daniel 7, the Roman Empire. The dragon, the pagan Roman Empire empowered by Satan, gave the beast his power, his throne and great authority. Just as the Father has given his throne and authority to Christ in Revelation 2:27, so Satan invests the beast as his co-regent and representative on earth. Revelation 2:27 reads, "He shall rule them with a rod of iron, they shall be dashed to pieces like the potter's wheel, as I also have received from my Father." Revelation 13, verses 5-7, states that the period of the beast's persecuting activity through the Christian history is 42 months. Let's read that, Revelation 13, beginning at verse 5. "And he was given a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and he was given authority to continue for 42 months. Then he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and those who dwell in heaven. It was granted to him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and authority was given over every tribe, tongue, and nation." As we have seen, persecution of the pure woman lasted for a time and times and half a time, that is, 3.5 times of prophetic years. Revelation 12, verses 13 and 14, and we'll compare that with Daniel 7:25. Revelation 12, beginning at verse 13, "Now, when the dragon saw that he had been cast to the earth, he persecuted the woman who gave birth to the male child. But the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness to her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time from the presence of the serpent." And Daniel 7, verse 25, "He shall speak pompous words against the Most High, shall persecute the saints of the Most High, and shall intend to change times and law. Then the saints shall be given into his hand for a time and times and half a time." 42 prophetic months equals 30 days multiplied by 42, or 1,260 days or years. Revelation 12, verse 6, "Then the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days." Therefore, a time and times and half a time, 42 months, and 1,260 days all refer to the same time period of 1,260 years. This phase ends when John sees one of his, the beast's heads, as if it had been mortally wounded. The subsequent healing of this deadly wound points to a time after 1798, when the beast would be revived and its power restored. The healing of the deadly wound draws the admiration of the world, and they worship both the dragon and the beast. You have been listening to a reading of the Adult Sabbath School Bible Study Guide by Dr. Percy Harold from Queensland, Australia. This service is brought to you by Hope Channel, the Sabbath School Department, and Christian Services for the Blind. Remember, God is always faithful.